Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Mordechai. I want to start off this year welcoming all the new guys that started the Daf with us from Kesher Nafshi. Here's a picture again. I'm going to show the same picture we showed last night because now it's more relevant. Peretz Chaim Levine wrote to me this morning. He said 42 people signed up. 42. So I said, how did you do it? He says, Gedalia Miller, the guy running the whole function, instead of being worried about what they're serving and who's speaking, running around in the lobby, chopping people for Torah. So all these people that signed up, welcome. You thought you're going for a weekend of chinuch, and it is. I was there and I gained tremendously, and I actually I took some of the stuff I learned there and put it in my life. Chaval, I didn't have this 30 years ago. But not only are you going there for a week of chinuch, it might actually change your life for the better, bringing in more Torah, enlarging your family, the circle of friends. So Be'ez Hashem, we can finish Shas together. Yeah, all right. Welcome if they're on live now. You know, in Kesher Nafshi, nobody sleeps. So yeah, it's 1 a.m. there. I don't know what time it is, but everybody's up anyway. Huh? What's Siyum? What about again? What? Oh, not Siyum. You mean speeches through the night? Yeah, it's Siyum. Speeches, unbelievable. Classes. Yeah. Shalom Aleichem Kesher Nafshi. All right. Harry Belly. I was hoping you'd be able to announce the Achnasa Sefer Torah Lili Nishmas Ezra Pollack's Ezra Pollack. That's being held Sunday in Fair Lawn. Boys, if you remember, one of our Chaverim he was on a family vacation to the Bahamas, and suddenly his 2-year-old got sick and was nifter. Tremendous loss, and a lot of the Chaver went to be Menachem Aval. So now they're doing a Achnasa Sefer Torah, and I think the Olam, if you go Menachem Aval, it's a beautiful thing, and there's something else everybody here could do if you're in Eretz Yisrael and around the world. You could daven for Tani and his wife, especially his wife. You need tremendous amount of chizuk. It's such an unbelievable loss. Yes, people think they don't have to daven because they just had a kid. They just had a boy just recently. No, the tsar is still there, still fresh, so we got to daven. This is Chaim Hirsch and my son Jake from Hollywood, Florida. We were at Yeshir tonight. It was the first time we were at MDY. What an incredible experience, an amazing Achnasas Orchim. 2 kisses from Hashem that I must share. The very last thing you mentioned in Yeshir tonight, that when we say Vayichulu on Friday night, the Gemara Shabbos says you're a partner with Hashem. You noted, and I heard others say this as well, to ask Hashem at that point for any Yeshuas you might need. Here comes the Ashgacha Pratis. I'm a Magid Shir in Florida, and I literally said the same word over last week in my Shir. However, someone put me on the spot with a great question. How can you make a request from Hashem on Shabbos? There's no personal about kashas on Shabbos. I was somewhat embarrassed during my own Shir because I didn't have a good answer. Rabbi, you hear this? He was embarrassed. So if you have a good question, keep it to yourself. Don't ask me and don't embarrass me. But today, hours before your Shir, I thought of a possible answer. So he's thinking about this before the Shir, and he came to the Shir and he told me this answer last night. We know that by Kevet Tzadikim, there are some opinions who say you should not be asking the Tzadikim to talk to Hashem on your behalf. I've heard Shiurim where the advice is to inform the Tzadikim of your situation, and they'll let them decide whether they'll ask Hashem for you, but you're merely informing them of where you're holding and your situation. Based on this, I thought the same concept could be applied here. You're a partner with Hashem at this time, so it's a great opportunity to inform and share with him the information of how you are feeling without making a specific request. Thank you, Hashem. Okay. So anyways, just an observation I had today before Yeshir, a kiss from Hashem. The second thing is, he's saying that he came to Eretz Yisrael for a bunch of days, 15 days, to put on his son's tefillin. Here they are. And he says that they decided to finish Seder Maya together, and they decided to do the last parak. And what are the last Mishnayos over there that they're learning? All about tefillin. They were at the Kaisel, they opened up their Mishnayos, he started putting on tefillin, and boom, a Mishnah about tefillin. So it's a kiss from Hashem for him. So Yishkoyach, you brought him in here, no? Well, good, great guy. Magid Shir. Avi Eisen, hi Rebelli, was introduced to that from a friend of mine. Haven't looked back since. I'm holding Nedarim with the Olam. It's a pleasure to learn with the enthusiasm of the MDY program. All the best in Miami. Maybe I'll just say a few things here. It's an unbelievable sugya today. We're holding in sugyas of Nedarim. Rabbi Yisai, today is a very, very special day. It started last night. It goes into today. Ches Teves. Exactly 3 years ago, we started Chas. Brachas Daf Beis. Exactly 3 years ago, we moved into this base marriage. To the day. 3 years to the day. So, good morning. Baruch Shechiyonu v'kiyimonu v'gyonu lazman hazeh. It's an extremely miragish. How do you say miragish in English? Get ready. Emotional. Yeah. I'm so miragish. I'm so excited, so emotional that I forgot the word. This is a tremendous milestone. Building a building just for Daf Yomi. We believe it's one of a kind. Time flies like this. It's unbelievable. We didn't have lighting then. We didn't have drywall. We didn't have windows. It was dark and dreary. Remember that first day? Projectors shining on the tables. Those were the days. We didn't have windows. Yeah. So 3 years, and Baruch Hashem, look at this place medrash. We didn't have Benny. We didn't have a lot of guys. And we had a lot of guys, and I don't know where they are now. I'm looking here at Boisad, Michael Ben Shetrit. I forgot to mention, I was on the phone with the Ephraim Shapiro from North Miami Beach, the famous Rav over there, the famous speaker. And he told me, he's like, I don't know, he knows a lot about the shir, and he said, you got Michael Ben Shetrit here in Miami. He does all the Siyumim, he's the leader. So even Rabbi Shapiro knows about it. And we want to thank you. You're here, sitting here, guest from Miami. Thank you for everything you've done in Miami and everything you're doing now for the big Siyum in Miami. We anticipate I'm going to be there myself, and a bunch of guys are going. Who's going from this room? Anybody? Wow. Go zoom out for a second. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. How many people? There's more than 10 people here. Wow. The Rosh Koila, you're coming? You're going to see the Rosh Koila, Rabbi Yisai. Michael Ben Shetrit is going to be there. Unbelievable. 1 minute. What are the chidushim? You're coming? Unbelievable. You, Benny? You have a ticket? Maybe. Okay, Givaldik. Hillel? Hillel's coming. Avi's coming. Nachman! Anybody want to sponsor a ticket?
Business class.
Business class only. Shkoya.
Why so low?
A boy say, we were talking yesterday about a father being made for a nether of his daughter, and if his daughter's engaged, so he's made for the nether, he knows the nether together with her husband. We call him a husband because in those days engagement wasn't just an engagement, it was a real, she's a Eishes Ish, an Arus, we'll call him an Arus. Now, when the father annuls a nether of his daughter, does it matter what kind of nether it is? Does it matter if she says she's not going to eat chocolate, or she says whatever she says? Does it matter? Or any nether he could be made for. How did you guys learn? L'chayr, we learned any nether, and we're going to learn today that's not the case. Very specific nedarim that have to do things between him and her, and things that could hurt her. Inu nefesh and beinu leveina, which is really a halach that we say by a husband and a wife, beinu leveina. That also applies to a father. I thought it was a huge chiddush. Another thing, the fact that a father and a husband can annul the daughter's nether, and that's to be the day they hear of the nether. But each one, l'chayra on his own, no? So here's a question. What if a father hears a nether on Sunday and he annuls it? He's made for it. The husband only hears about it on Tuesday and he's made for it. The two hafaras combine as one and the nether is mufar. Now, there's a very interesting thing going on here that we're going to learn in the sugya. If a nether is weakened somehow, let's say one of the two makes a hafara on the nether and then he dies. So the other one inherits the entire nether in a weakened state. Is that better or worse? Think about it logically. I have a nether, it's 100%. One of them said it's mufar, he took off, let's say 50%. It's a weakened nether. So the second one that's alive, he inherits the other half, the 50%. But it's in a weakened state. It's like 50% only. Is that better for him? Is it easier for him to annul his 50% or it's worse? So you can go both ways actually. Fine. With that, let's just say the sponsorships today, the month, the Koil is sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The Masech is sponsored also from Lakewood, not anonymous. Ein Sgula Tinokes, Kիעקב, ויעל, Lak. The Parnassa Shavua, l'schus, Refuah, Shleima, success in Parnassa. And Nachas from our children. If you want Nachas, real Nachas, go to Kesher Nafshi. Mordechai, Kranczer, Refuah, Shleima, Tinok by Rivka, Henna, and Tinokes by Rivka, Henna. They should both have Refuah, Shleima. The art is sponsored by Anonymous for this month, and that's it for today. Says the Heilige, what? There's something else I need to say? What is this? Oh, this is the art guy. So we're going to keep it anonymous, but a complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leah. Refuah Shleima, Givaldik. Okay, thank you. So going back to the first mission of the parak. Naira Morasa, we have a girl who's not 12 and a half yet. She's not a begeres. She could be 11 years old, 10 years old. She could be a Naira. The halacha is that if she makes a neder, she makes a vow and she says she's not going to do something, or she's not going to eat something, whatever the vow is, typically if she wasn't engaged, she's just in her father's domain, her father has the right to annul the neder and be mevatel kafir da'ara. But since she's engaged, you need both, the father and the husband. Engaged, arusa, he gave her a ring, she's a ishesish, the father and the husband. Once she transfers over to the husband's rishus completely, she's a complete wife. Why? Because there was chuppah. After there was kiddushin, there was chuppah. Now she's a nesua. The husband doesn't need the father at all. The father has nothing to do with it anymore. It's only the husband. How do we know this? Says the Gemara, the Beir Bishmol Tana. Beinish leishtoi, bein av lebitoi. So here's the pasuk Rabbi say. Between a father and a daughter, benureo beisavio, when she's a nara in her father's house, in her father's house. Mikal nara moiroso shavia ubalo mefirim nidorel. Here we see the idea, because they're both together. It says ish, it says av. You see them both together. It's like a hekesh. It's in the same pasuk together, the red and the green. Ish and Av, so Mela, they're both mefer together. So the Gemara says, but we had a whole sugi yesterday. We had a whole daf. Well, the Tana the Bei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel learns im hayoy siel ish my avidlay. Now, Rabbi Shmuel is learning from Beinish leishtay. So the whole sugi that Rabbah brought yesterday, im hayoy siel ish. What is he going to do with this pasuk? We spoke about this three parshas. There's a parsha, a girl in her father's domain, she's not engaged. Then there's a parsha of a girl that's engaged. Then there's a parsha of a girl or a woman who's married. Three parshas. So the middle parsha is talking about an engaged girl, and you see from there, you see a whole drasha, a whole cheshbon at the end of the sugi. Remember that beautiful cheshbon? It must be, how could it be that a married man has less power than an engaged man? How is it possible? And the answer is because the engaged man is together with the father. Together, they have the power to annul the nethers. Somebody who's engaged, the chassan, has more power than a married man over his kal and wife. Why? Because he's doing it in conjunction with the father. So you see from here, you do it together. Both of them have a shutfus in the... So, what does Tanam Rabbi Shmuel do with that whole drasha? Says Gemara, Im hayasil ish my ovidlay. Moikim lei liidach the rabba. Goris rabba here, the other rabba. So what's going on here? Check this out. By the way, I didn't show this yesterday, so I'll show it real quickly today. As a sikum to the sugi yesterday, and I said it real quickly now. There's a pasuk v'shama avia. She's just with her father in blue. So it says, if you're arusa, you need both. You need the father and the husband. V'shama isha is the parsha where she's completely married. So we learn from there that a husband cannot be made for kaidmim. He can't be made for nedarim that happened before he was engaged, before he knew her. That's the center parsha. That's the one she's engaged. From there you learn you need the father also. We just went through it. So those are the three parshas. So, you see, it says the word havaya. I heard one to joke. Let me see if I remember it. It says havaya is kiddushin, but I think it's a play on words that Ish v'isha zachu shchina shrui b'neihem. So you have the havaya. It's like a lashon of Shem Hashem. Okay, fine. V'mhayasiya le'ish and the derei. Why the double lashon? Hayasiya. Just say v'im siya le'ish. What's hayasiya? So Gemara learns from this case right over here. You have a father and you have a daughter. The father has the right to be mefer his daughter's, this 5-towner, 11-year-old who goes on shopping sprees. And she said, okay, I'm making net, I'm never going to shop again. He feels bad for her. He has the right to annul it, to undo it, to unlock it. By himself. You hear? By himself. Then she gets engaged. So now we said that the Torah, the Afar has to go together with the Aros, together with the husband. Then what happened? How does it go? It goes like this, I think. Hold on, no. Oh. It's a little bit out of order. Akoponim, the husband dies. This guy dies.
She killed him with the credit card bills.
She killed him. The chiddush is that the father, all the way in step 1, he returns to step 1. Now, even though there's a hefsek in between, the father was able to do it all by himself. Then came a situation where he could only be made for his daughters in the Nedarim with somebody else, but that somebody else just kicked the bucket. So now he goes back to step 1 where he could do it by himself. He went bye-bye. Even though, I don't know why you need step 6. Okay, he got married, she got engaged again to another guy, Shimon. Okay, somebody else. But the father has the right to annul her neder by himself before she gets engaged. It's a chiddush. You think that he loses his right. His right of doing it all by himself was ruined by the fact that there was a chassan involved. But once you remove the chassan, that's the chiddush. She gets engaged twice. That's why there's a number 6 here. There's a 2. She got married twice. What? Correct. The vart is that right before that he's allowed. Ayin sham. Tell me what you find. Okay. The Ran just... Okay, one second. So he learns from this pasuk that we used yesterday to teach us that you need a shutfus of a father and a husband. He learns another chiddush, that the father has the right to continue doing his thing. And Rabbi Shmuel also learns, you can learn 2 dinim from this, says the Ran. Okay. Rabbi Shmuel, what? He says?
Yeah.
The what?
He's saying that it's nakish, the same havayas, that just like the husband doesn't have the power to be made, the first husband doesn't have the power to be made for the Nedarim HaKodenim.
Yeah.
So too now this second husband can't be made for the Nedarim HaKodenim before he married her, even though the father will be able to. I mean, the father still has more strength than this second husband.
Okay, so it's a side chiddush you're saying that about Hataras, Nedarim, Kaidmim, but in terms of our sugya, what's important is the fact that he's not even there. Shimon didn't even exist. Step 6 didn't even happen, but the father can return to this thing. Okay. Now, just to point out, if you go back here, and the Ran says, we have to go all the way back here, sorry. Beinish le'ishtoi, bein av lebitoi. So, we learn from here, says the Ran, an amazing thing. That just like, and that's what I asked in the beginning, and to me it was a big chiddush, that's why I made it into a question. As we're going to see later on the sugyas, there's a concept of inu nefesh. We'll talk about it soon. Inu nefesh and dvarim shebeinu lebeina. There's different types in the Nedarim. There's another where a woman says, I'm not going to eat chocolate. That's inu nefesh. She's hurting herself. The dvarim shebeinu lebeina could mean also that she's not going to put on makeup. She's not going to dress nicely. So that affects the husband directly. Some say we're talking about marital relations. Okay, whatever it is. We'll see what it is. It doesn't have to go that far. It could be just things that affect the husband. So the Ran says that according to this that we're learning, we also learn this halacha, that when it comes to a father and a daughter, when the father annuls the neder of his own daughter, it's dafka in those specific types in the Nedarim, like a husband. Only things that affect the father. In other words, if she makes a neder, I will never give you water, I'll never serve you, I'll never cook for you. that's a neder between him and his daughter, he can annul it. And if she says, I'm making a neder that I can't eat chocolate anymore, you could also, because that affects her in nefesh. But it has to be similar to Nedarim that I have to do like a husband. Okay. It's right here. What does he do with right? That the husband could be mefer nedarim, dafke nedarim that are bein levena. We'll see, like we just explained, bein levena, things that have to do between the husband and a wife. Bein ish, so that's the lashon. Bein ish. Look at the thing for a second. Bein ish lish, a neder that has to do with a husband and a wife. Those are the things that he could be mefer. Just want to share with you this beautiful Ramosha here. I thought it's Givaldi. I have to read this. Sorry, I'm putting this over here, Nachman. Check this out. I thought it's Givaldi because this has to do with Dvarim Shebein Ish Isha. Like we know that when a woman gets married, she usually takes on her husband's minhagim. I thought it was a fascinating Ramosha. What if a husband's minhag is that his wife shouldn't wear a sheitel, and she wants to wear a sheitel? Does she have to take on her husband's minhag? Fascinating Ramosha, and especially the last part of it. It says, you can't tell your wife not to wear sheitel. Even if you want to be machmer, since she's doing halachically correct, she's halachically within the halachic envelope. Most poskim say it's mutter. Halacha looks like that. And even if she doesn't put on like a hat, the Chassidish ladies, they wear a sheitel, but they put a little hat on it. Even if she won't put that hat on, because but she does want to. You can't tell her not to. Now listen to this. I thought this is gewaldig. And if you're a type of guy that shaves, and I know you shave, Kain tar, almost like a razor blade, and you don't care about Marasayin Shurak Mitam Shibiarti, don't be a hypocrite. You shave, and you're telling your wife not to wear a sheitel? Mamish a good shtach. He wasn't talking to me, obviously. I'm saying you can take this to all different places. You're such a great tzaddik, you do X, Y, Z. You know that various you do. Also, when it comes to your wife, you're so makbid on this and this and that. Be quiet. Stop being machmer on your wife when you yourself are not such a tzaddik. You're contradicting your own minhag. Moshe Feinstein. Gewaldige Zach, no? Okay. Now we go weiter. So, here, this is just... I can show it now, I can show it later. Neder inu nefesh. Here in the pasuk, kol neder v'chol shvuas isor la'ano yisnafesh, the Torah says. Inu nefesh, something that hurts you, your body. Isha kimeno, Isha is the husband. He could be mekayim it, he could say it's a good neder. Isha yiferen, he could say it's not a good neder. Now, dvarim shebeina leveina, as it says over here in the pasuk, beinish li'ishtoi. Fine. Iboilu. Rabbi Isai, here we have a Mordechai Lamdish Shayla. Literally, this is gewaldige stuff. How does it work? You have a partnership between two people, and the two people together have to come and annul a neder. They have to say, this neder is no good. We'll say about pet. Is the pshat that each person removes 50% of the neder? So you have a big neder, and comes the husband and he annuls his part, he removes 50%. Now you're left with 50%. Or, what happens is you have the neder, comes one of them and he annuls the neder, the whole thing remains. Just it's weaker. So I did a little bit thing based on Judah David, he told me to do this. Here you have a hamburger with all the trimmings. It's a full thing. A guy came and ate half the hamburger. You have a neder, it's a neder. One guy removed half. what are you left with? A half a hamburger. Or the pshat is you took that hamburger that had all the lettuce and tomatoes, it's still there, but you made it shvach. You made it weaker. It's a full hamburger, but it's weaker. If that makes any sense. Now, it makes more sense now? Where's Judah? He's not even here. He wanted me to do something else. He's going to buy burgers. Okay. Let's see inside. Ibaylu. Baal Megas Gaiz is the husband removing when the husband or the whoever it is, one of the two, the husband or the father, removes the neder, is he chopping it in half? Oi miklash kolish, or he's making it weaker. The whole thing remains there, the entire burger is there, just a weaker burger. And we'll see a big nafkamina. It's very, very lundish. This is what they do in yeshiva. They try to do this in yeshiva. What's going on here? What's the mechanism? What's the question? In the Nedarim, it trained Zaysin. Here, you have a picture. 2 hours, in case you don't know what it looks like. V'shama aros v'hefer law. So the aros came and he said, I'm annulling your neder, the whole thing. So if you say that you chop it in half, so what happened there? 1 out of the 2 olives goes away. There's an X. It doesn't exist. Okay. But the other olive is whole and complete. It's a full olive, 100%. It's not weak at all. It's very, very strong. And if you eat a kazayis, if you eat some of the food, it doesn't have to be kazayis. It happens to be, the Ran asks, it happens to be when it comes to a neder, if a person says, if this woman say, I won't eat any olive, it's any olive. It doesn't have to be a shear of a kazayis. It could be even okay, for whatever reason, we're talking about 2 kazayis here. Amina Megas guy is lakya. So she ate both of them. Now, she has to eat both of them because we don't know which one is removed. Is it the one on the right or the one on the left? Or half at the top and or the bottom of the other? We don't know what he removed exactly. He removed half, 50%. Where the half, 50%, I don't know. But if she eats both of them, so the 50% that's whole is definitely within the 2 that she ate. So if she ate a full kazayas, she's chayev. She ate a whole, it doesn't have to be a whole zayis. She ate something that's complete. I should say not whole, complete. A complete isser she ate here. But if the 2 zaysim, look at this here, look what I did here. Now, if it's weaker, you have 2 zaysim, but they're not really zaysim. They're 50% of what they used to be. They're whole, but it's not 100. So the fact that she ate it, she didn't eat a complete isser. She ate a weak isser. A weak isser doesn't get you malchus. Malchus you get by doing a complete isser. Over here there's no complete. Yes, it's 2, but 2 very weak things. The shvach. They're missing a lot of the molecules. I don't know what's going on, but they're not as eyes.
Why is there a third possibility that the first hafara is just Shleima and Shemaim waiting?
Oh, I like that. I had that problem also. In other words, nothing happens. 0. You see from the sugya that that's not how it works. It's not even a possibility. Oh, that's a very good question. He's asking, why is there not a third possibility? Instead of saying it's weak or it's strong, it's 0. Because let's say you need, I don't know, what's a good example? It's not a good example. Let's say you need 2 Eidim to testify about somebody that killed, a murder, and only 1 showed up. So you have nothing. It's not you have 50% of a testimony. You have 0 testimony. So he's asking, why don't you have a possibility that's 0? That's not one of the possibilities here. You see that the Gemara understood that when one of them annuls the neder, he accomplishes something very strong. Exactly how much, we don't know. But he accomplished. That's what we see here. I hear? No, but a lot of times the entire works like he's saying. That's why I had the issue also, but Azoy's mash. Fine. Now, when Reb Shmuel Rozovsky would ask a kasha in Panovich, I don't know if you've ever been there. So when the Maggid Shir asked a kasha, I've been there a number of times when Rav Shach gave shiur, the whole place starts screaming answers. It's like a tumult. So he would say, Lost hanabim for the kasha. Before you answer, just pause for a minute and think about the beauty of this question. It's a beautiful question. Now, answer. Don't just jump and answer. Think about, it's a gewaldige kasha here. Think, pause for a second. Unbelievable shaila. Okay, zog the Gemara. My Toshma. I would just recommend, I'll do it for you if you don't want. Go to Daf Ayin for a second. See something very interesting. There's a mission on the bottom of Daf Ayin. It says, if the father dies, then the husband doesn't regain his whatever power the father had. It's lost forever. Since they were both shutvim, one of the shutvim died. That's it. No one could be mefer the neder if the father dies. However, meis habal, if the husband dies, nisroikna rishus lav. Nisroikna is the lashon. You take a sack, you empty it out, you give it to the next guy. You take a bottle, you pour out the soda into the other guy's cup. He gets your power. So if the husband dies, the father regains full control over here, and he can annul the neder. That's the end of the Mishnah. What are the cases? We don't know. And I believe that the Gemara doesn't explain it over here. No, it doesn't explain it over here. All the explanation is right here in this Gemara now, before we get to the Mishnah. Now what? Tashmai Masa Yomru Mesa Bal Nisroikna Rishus Laav Bizman Shleishama Habal Koidim Shiyamos. So you see that the father has a little bit more control than the husband. The father regains control. The husband doesn't regain control if the father dies. There's three possibilities. If the husband was not Mekayim a neder, what are the three possibilities not to be Mekayim a neder? Either he did nothing, or he didn't even hear about it, or he was Mefer. Mefer is the opposite of Mekayim. Mefer means he annulled it. So those are three. Okay, it's the same idea. He didn't even hear about it. Oh, Sheshama v'hefer. You have to stick in here the gears in the ran as we're switching it. I'll explain in a second. He heard it, but he did a far right away. Oh, Sheshama v'shasak. Now, this last halacha of he heard it and he was quiet, on that, the Brisa says, umeis boy bayoim. Because if a person hears something and he's quiet for a full day, what happens? It's as if he was mekayim. So that's why the Ran changes the v'shasak goes together with umeis boy bayoim, not the v'hafer. The v'shasak, the shtika has to be that you didn't have a 24-hour period. You got boy bayoim. Yeah? Boy bayoim. All those guys, the new guys that are starting today, boy bayoim, you have only that one day to do the afara. You only have today to do the daf. Every day you have to do the daf. It's not about the daf, it's about the yomi. Every day. And if the day goes by without doing the daf, you lost out. That's it. Shalom Yisrael. It's very interesting that when it comes to Torah, I remind Oil, we learned this in area, when it comes to Torah, the day, and then goes the night. Not the night and then the day. The night goes on what's before it, the daytime. Interesting. Okay, fine. Zui Shishaninu, Meis Habal, Nisroigna Rishus Lav. So, this is what we learned in the Mishnah, Dafayin. If the husband dies, everything goes to the father. Now, if the husband was Mefer, and then he dies, we're going to see in a second. So the father has to redo the hafara that the husband did. The husband dies, the husband did hafara, he took away 50%. Then he dies. So we're saying the father is in full control, and what does he do? He doesn't do his 50%, he has to redo the husband's 50% as well, he has to do the 100%. Interesting Allah. Daf Amud Beis. Sponsored by Greg Haber for Beracha, Parnassa, and Hatzlacha for his entire family and everyone learning the daf, and Latzlacha for the members of the HBA Group and their families. Amen. If the husband heard it and he said, okay, it's a good net there. You see, that's why the Ran says that it's Mufresh in the Gemara. He was quiet, but there's a full day, and that full day of him being quiet makes it a kiyum, it's a good neder. Ein yachal lahafer. And he dies, The father cannot be mefer. Why? Because it's already mekuyim. Says the Gemara like this, the Brisa. Here are the four possibilities. Very, very simple. Rabbi said, check this out. You have a father that did a hafara and then he died. You have a father that did a hafara and the husband died. 1 and 4. It's the same case. The father did a hafara and the father died. The father did a hafara and the husband died. And then you have the same thing, case number 2 and 3. The husband did a hafara and the husband died. Could the father continue? Yes. The husband did a hafara and the father died. Could he do the hafara? No. But those are the four possibilities. But I just wrote it in the order of the Gemara. Okay, so we're going through it now. Shama Aviyah ve'Eferla. The father heard that his daughter made a neder, and he said it's annulled. It's a mufer. And the husband didn't hear that there was a neder at all. And then the father died. The father who did the hafara, the father dies, and now he leaves it all to the husband. You can't give it to the husband can't take over. Why not? Rabbi said, why not? We have to understand the svara over here. The father did his 50%. And then he died. So let the husband do his 50%. Why can't the husband do his 50%? The answer is because the moment that the father dies, that's mevatel his 50%. It's mevatel his afara. And now the husband has to do 100%. He can't do that. He could only do it in a partnership. He cannot do it on his own. That's the halacha of the Mishnah. The husband you cannot be meroikin, you can't pour your stuff over to the husband. So we're running out of time here. The bottom line is that the Ran says that each thing has a chiddush here. Each one has a bigger chiddush than the next, and he says incredible stuff here. Basically, if the husband heard the neder, now he's a complete partner with the father. The husband heard about it, so he becomes a partner. The chiddush is that even if he didn't hear, and he's a weak partner, even so, he can't be mefer. Because the svar could go both ways, the Ran says. On the one hand, you could say, if the husband inherits a very weak neder, he should be able to be mefer. Let's say he inherits 10% of the neder. No, so 10% should be easy for him to be mefer. Okay. On the flip side, you could say, no, if it's a very weak neder, it doesn't go to anybody. It doesn't move. You can't transfer something weak. You can only transfer something that has power. It's almost the opposite. It's like counterintuitive. If it's only like 10% of the neder, it doesn't move at all. It's hard to move it. Those are the two svaras here. It doesn't transfer, I should say. Shama bala veheverla. Now we're going to the second case. The husband heard about this neder and he did hafara right away. And the father didn't even hear about it. That's the chiddush. He didn't even hear about it. He wasn't even a partner here, so to speak, with the husband because he didn't even hear about it. And the husband died. Over here, the father does have the power to annul it. So the Ran goes into that. I would think that dafka when the father heard about it, and then he was equal to the husband, then he could be mefer. But if he didn't hear about it, then the husband is stronger. And then the father only has a little bit, and you can't transfer a small amount of a neder, says the Ran. I would think. Third case. Shama bala ve'eferlo, the husband heard about it, he did afaras nadar. And the father didn't hear about it until the father died. The Baal was mefer, but the father died. Eina Baal yochel hafer, that's case 3, Gimel. Eina Baal yochel hafer, shein habal mefer ela b'shutfos. So the guy, what happened there? The one that did the hafara remained alive. Yeah, it's a new case. The one that did the hafara remained alive. So, even though the father was like not zoicha in it, the husband can't be mefer. He doesn't get anything here. Ein abal yochel offer, shein abal mefer el b'shutfus. Okay, we spoke about shutfus. Hold on. Should we go weiter? It's 8:05. We could go weiter and explain the Gemara's Raya, or just start tomorrow from here, the middle. What do we should do? Let's do this real quickly. Whoever wants to leave can leave. Shama avia ve'ever. We started late. Shama avia ve'ever. If the father heard the neder and he did hafara and he stayed alive. Hey, let's go back to the thing, to the chart. And the husband didn't hear about it and he died. The husband died. The father was mefer, the husband dies. The Ran explains he doesn't have to redo his part. The father already did 50%, his 50%. Chayzer over here means he goes back to do a hafara. He has to do another hafara on the other 50%. So listen to this real quickly what the raya is. Amr ibn Nasan, Henin divri b'shamai. This is b'shamai. But b'sil remain yochel hafer. In that case, there's only machlokes in the last case. Why? Shma minol b'shamai megas gayas. According to b'shamai, you get rid of your part completely. So what's left? A full 50%, a complete 50%. And therefore, since it's complete, you could give it over. The reason why they still say he can't be mefer is because they hold the Beisil Miklash Kalish. So going back to the original question about 2 olives, according to Beishamai, she's chayiv malchus. Why? Because even though he's mefer a half, but he left a half that's complete, and a complete you get malchus. According to Beis Hillel, it's kolish, it's weaker. Maybe we could go over this again tomorrow, maybe not. So therefore, you don't get malchus. Have a wonderful day.